ignore the dogs that are inevitably going to just keep moving behind me. Poor little cone girl here. She got an infection on her foot, a skin infection, so she can't lick it. Had to go with the cone of shame. Anyway, it's Chelsea Crin, and I'm here with another Game of Thrones theory. I know I've been doing a lot of these. This is like my third one. And some people agree with, some don't. But my brother and I just got home and we were talking about Game of Thrones theories. Sorry, she's just too funny. So we're talking about Game of Thrones theories, and I thought, well, I liked his theory, so I'm gonna talk about it and see what people think. I'm also literally filming this on my phone, sitting on the floor in front of a window, because it at least has some kind of light in my house, and it's just, I know it's a mess. I'm not even centered. It is what it is. So, anyway, if you haven't seen this past episode, don't watch anymore. But if you haven't, we're gonna talk a little bit about spoilers. Most of it's not very spoilerly. Kind of is, kind of isn't. But don't watch if you haven't watched this past episode. If you have, keep on watching, and let's talk about this Game of Thrones theory that I've seen online. Actually, quite a few times I've seen online, and I was like, ooh, wait, this makes sense. This could happen. All right, let's get into it. So, unfortunately, last episode, we saw Rhaegal, right? Rhaegal the dragon? His name is Rhaegal. That's how you pronounce it. Anyway, Rhaegal the dragon, he got shot down by Euron Greyjoy, and the scorpion, bow and arrow thing is called Scorpion. Anyway, he ended up killing the dragon, which was very, very upsetting. Almost got Drogon, too, which would have been very upsetting. Of course, this means, I don't know if it's kind of like symbolism, since that Rhaegar is Jon's true father, if that has anything to do with it. But never know. It is Game of Thrones. So, dragon died. Next episode, you see Euron looking up into the sky, very confused. They show you a blank sky. Confuses the audience. And he looks mildly scared. He's like, oh my god. So this leads a lot of people to believe that there's more than one dragon. I actually just rewatched the episode where Drogon came back because he was MIA for a while and saved Khaleesi at the time. Everybody called her Khaleesi. Daenerys and everybody when they were in Meereen during that whole gladiator scene. So you saw her being rescued by Drogon, and Drogon was gone for a while. And what is kind of cool, as somebody who's a big fan of reptiles, is there are some species of reptiles that can reproduce asexually to keep the continuation of the species. And why not? We didn't see Drogon for a while. Maybe Drogon laid some eggs. Maybe there's more dragons, and maybe we'll finally see the Second Sons come back with Daario Naharis bringing these new dragons, because it also sounded like a young dragon. It didn't sound like an older dragon. But this leads to saying, okay, well, there's dragons, so we need Targaryens, because clearly we think Daenerys is going to die. I think Jon's going to die. So then who's left? There has to be a Targaryen. There was always that rumor that Tyrion is actually a Targaryen. But what if it's not Tyrion? What if it's Varys? Now, Varys, we don't know his last name. We know he's from Essos. We know that he knows a lot. But we don't know his last name. He never mentions his last name. And there have been Targaryens that have been hidden throughout the show, like Aemon, the maester at the Night's Watch at Castle Black. He was a Targaryen. Why not Varys? And there was a conversation between Varys and Littlefinger in the throne room in one of the past seasons, like season 1 or season 2, where they're talking about their wants and desires. And Varys, when he's talking about what he wants, he looks to the throne. He always says that he is doing what's best for the realm, and he'll do whatever it takes to make sure the realm is safe and in the best hands. But what if he also has ulterior motives, that he wants the throne because he might be a Targaryen? It wouldn't be a weird thing for him to be from Essos and then come into Westeros as this new identity almost, because if he was a Targaryen, he doesn't want anybody to know. Of the rest of the Targaryens, besides Aemon, were over in Essos to kind of hide away from everybody else. And anybody that would be able to identify him, they're not alive anymore. So they wouldn't know that he was actually a Targaryen. He's bald, so we don't know what color hair he has. He could be a blonde. We don't know. And he's very secretive. He's very conniving. What if this whole thing is actually to get the throne himself? And what if at the end of the show, Varys is on the throne? I know I said in my last video that I think Sansa's going to be on the throne, which still could be. This is just another theory, and I kind of enjoyed this theory because it would bring another Targaryen in it, because they would say the three-headed dragon, and there's dragon has 3 heads, and it would bring a third Targaryen to the mix that isn't Tyrion, because I think as much as a cool theory that is, I think that's kind of far-fetched, but I mean, I guess the Varys one is too. And just the way Varys has been this whole entire show, there's more to him. There is something else there that they're not telling us yet. Maybe we'll find out next episode, maybe the final episode, and then he sits on the throne, because we know he wants the throne, because he pointed at it and he looked at it when Littlefinger and him were talking about what they want, and he wants the throne. Varys has been playing the Game of Thrones better than almost anybody else. He switches teams to whatever suits, he says, the realm, but also himself. Do you think that Varys could be an actual Targaryen and could be the one to sit on the Iron Throne at the end? And also now he might have a bunch of dragons. If Drogon really did have all of these baby dragons, like some people are theorizing, with that young dragon sound at the preview of the episode coming up on Sunday. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. I'm kind of like rambling and just spouting it all out there. But do you think that is possible, that we will have young dragons and that Varys is actually a Targaryen and might get the throne at the end of it? That'd be kind of cool. Leave it all down in the comments down below. Hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get ready for the second to last episode ever of Game of Thrones on Sunday.